Where am I at? Welcome to Badger Beer Report. Hello. Thank you, Joel. That was really nice of you to punch me up there. I don't know where I was. Welcome to Badger Beer Brewery Report for 11/25/25. We will get this down. I am your host, Greg Washington. We have a really packed show this evening for you, full of all great, wonderful, positive Wisconsin brewery news. But I want to start y'all by saying that our format is here. It's a little changing a little bit for the better here. If you're watching on our YouTube page, or if you go to our YouTube page, you will be able to access each of our live streams via the vertical or the horizontal, depending on how you're watching it. If you're watching it on your TV, you can see the horizontal. If you're on your phone, like most people view Badger Beer Report Brewery Report, you can get that vertical now. You can also get it vertical on IG, I think, or Joel's IG, but it'll eventually show up on our IG too, in that vertical scene that you can see there, or maybe not. But yeah. So new things happening here, and yeah, we're happy for that. So cheers to that. So without further ado, also, yeah, please, and if you're not, jump over and subscribe if you're not watching on um YouTube. Please go there, and you will get all of a plethora of content, and you'll get everything that we do, video wise and audio wise there. So check out Badger Beer Report. I gotta keep going the wrong way on YouTube. All right. So with that being said, um, it's time to bring on my co-host and my half of my brain in this Wisconsin beer scene brewery. It's my friend, brewery savant Joel Geyer.
Hi, Greg. How are you doing?
You know what's
We're
going
doing we're, we're
on.
doing we're doing great because we're back earlier than we anticipated.
Yeah, we had
Because
some recent visits.
man, things came hot and fast here the last couple weeks. We have so much to cover in terms of new brewery announcements. You and I both made it to multiple class of 25 new breweries that some very recently opened that we're going to be able to discuss. So yeah, all good news on this show. So and by the way, and I do see it is working perfectly well on the Instagram on the vertical stuff. He said so. Brewery underscore travels. If you want to watch it on Instagram, brewery underscore travels is where you can go, and we will, as Greg said, eventually have it going on our own Badger Beer Report as well. So
Obviously.
yeah. And I also have a quick shout out. I told you I picked up the Lakefront Lager mix pack. I was so excited when they announced this, and I got it today. I'm having the Klish Pilsner up first here, but I think it also has the Dive Beer, River West Stein, and Eastside Dark. So it's just, as a lager guy, I mean, what more can you ask for? But yeah. And with that, let's go ahead and jump right in here, Greg. So this one is over by your neck of the woods a little bit more so. We have another situation where a brewery has been announced in a community that does not already have one. We are going to Cottage Grove, which is, for if people are unfamiliar, just east of Madison. And Near and Far Brewing Company has released plans that to build a fairly substantial space there in Cottage Grove. Here you can kind of see on the map of Cottage Grove. They're going to be out there on kind of the western side of the town. You can also see kind of some of the blueprints that they have there. This is a fairly substantial build. So according to some of the paperwork here, they're proposing to build a total of 10,000 square foot multi-tenant building. 6,000 of that would be the brew pub. 4,000 would be for a future tenant. And yeah, if you're looking at the blueprint, I think one of the things that caught our eye initially was that it's an interesting like layout. It looks like they have a huge like communal table kind of running through like the main part of the tap room. And then they also have a back area that's going to be used as, I would assume, as an event space. It looks like there's a separate bar back there, as well as a a very big outdoor patio area that runs basically the whole length of the building. So this is a pretty big looking plan. Considering it's brew pub, I believe food would definitely be involved. But do you have anything else on this one already? Like I said, this is all in the last week pretty much that we have been starting to get this information.
Yeah, so you said the total square feet is 10,000, but they
Yeah.
6,000 for the brewery, which is a lot, which is nice. Nice
Yes.
little area there. That's good. That's good. I'm suspecting, Joel, that the other tenant will be some kind of food business. And
Yeah.
hopefully that supplements it. It seems like they're gonna have like dogs involved and they really want to be dog friendly. So
Yeah.
that means that there's gonna have to be some food elements. So I'm hoping for a local, them come back, go with a local place, looking for the normal things like pizza and wings and all that, and that's fine, whatever. Or even high end stuff. I don't know that. I think that's where we're going with that. And I'm just excited. We're just excited here in the Madison area to be adding another brewery, especially in a space, as you said, that doesn't have one now. So,
So the one other thing I have here from the paperwork from Cottage Grove is in part of like their release. It says they will have a full kitchen menu. They will also have a rooftop patio as well as green spaces specifically for dogs. So it's not just like a cement patio for dog. Like they're gonna, I think, really try to integrate that whole experience into it. And I mean, rooftop patio. I mean, have to wait and see. That sounds
yeah,
pretty darn nice, though.
yeah. We will have more, and this one's close to me, so we'll have drive-bys.
Well, and speaking of close, Greg, we have another one that is close to me. This brewery, Acronym Brewing, was just recently announced. We kind of covered it a little bit talking with John. Coming to Fox Point. And so this brewery is going to be kind of tied for the closest brewery to me, actually, when it comes through. And I'm thrilled about this. I know that we already kind of did the interview talking about, what is all going on with New Barons, and this is going to be its own separate project. And so I'm thrilled that Fox Point is getting its own brewery. I've long said that the North Shore is lacking in breweries because you pretty much go down Lake Michigan and all these fairly affluent, like fairly substantial communities, Shorewood, Whitefish Bay, Fox Point, Bayside. There's no breweries there in any of those communities. Glendale has two, both Sprecher and Bavarian, but neither are like a traditional brewery that, you a tap room type of visit. So I'm very intrigued by this. There's a lot of great renderings already from they had a very substantial proposal that was submitted to the village of Fox Point, which I was able to go through. And one thing that catches my eye immediately is that they're going to have apparently local artists like do this cement paver painting thing to like encompass like this big outdoor area. And the building itself, it's partially like a former garage. And that it's a gas service station. And that site is approximately just under 1,700 square feet. But then they are building on an additional 2,200 square feet from there. And that will be where most of like the tap room space will be, as you can see here on these next diagrams. You can see here the existing structure will essentially be where the brewery will be located. And then the proposed build out of the new structure will be kind of wrapping around that. And that will be where the tap room is. Looks like to be a fairly straightforward tap room. I do not believe food will be involved in this one, but the plans on like through their proposal do talk about food trucks. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice and large outdoor space as well. You can see again, kind of the proposed of this painted cement or what I forget if that's the phrase that they used, but yeah, I believe a 6-barrel or 10 barrel fermenters, I believe is what they said. So yeah, we have a good relationship with John and Steve's building. We're going to have a lot more on this as we move forward. But yeah, I've been scanning through the paperwork and mainly because I'm just really giddy to have another brewery this close to me, Greg.
Yeah, and real quick, so let's talk about this real quick. We had two recent
Yes.
podcasts come out with John. One about acronym, and y'all can see there, and then the other one was about New Barons and how New Barons is going forward in a different direction, and how that actually involves acronym. And we're not going to get into all that, but it's two separate podcasts, and it's really good stuff as far as the content goes with this. Joel and I were really engaged with talking to him before those came out, and
Yeah.
before the news came out, we were actually talking to John. We were trying to like keep the story hush so we could break the news for y'all. It didn't work that way out, but we're trying, and we're making sure we're on the front end of this. So we actually had the first audio, y'all. That's the first audio um that John did with anybody, and that was also, we'll talk about where Joel should have been doing that interview, y'all, but Joel was somewhere else. So we
Yes.
will talk about where Joel was because he couldn't be in two places at once. So then I took the interview, and I think I did a good job. But Joel was probably going to do better because he's juiced up for this one.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm gonna definitely have boots on the ground here. I've driven by, I know exactly where this is gonna be. I'm absolutely thrilled, like I said. And yeah, I think it's great that we've already been able to have these discussions. Obviously, you're hearing me kind of give some high level, announcement things that you can go find yourself. Go and listen to John talk about it with Greg. We will, as he said, have a lot more on this once we get more information. Timeline wise, obviously, all of these projects that we're currently talking about are not going to be happening anytime soon. These first two both have, one is a full new build out, the other is a partial full build out. So we yeah. Oh, so yes, we can move on here though to the third brewery. Although, so this is technically, it's going to be a new physical brewery location. But if you have been listening to us and following us, you may recall that a while back we mentioned this Nicolay Ale Works because we stumbled upon them, and they have been brewing beer for a little while now. They also have a thing where they can work with you to create a recipe, and they've had their beer on tap in a couple places, I believe, around kind of that Green Bay De Pere area. And they just announced that they will be opening up downtown De Pere's first brewery, downtown brewery, in this upcoming year here. And they are taking over an old space right there on the main drag, the main street. I forget. I know I had it here somewhere. What the former built, what was in there prior. But they're taking that storefront. It's going to be a production brewery, as well as family friendly, dog venue, outdoor. It looks like, if you can see in that one picture, there's like this alleyway there between the two buildings, and apparently that is going to play a pretty key role in some of this outdoor space and entertainment. I also saw in these plans, there's also maybe going to be a kind of patio area in the back. But yeah, we will hopefully be in talks with them to get some more details on that. But yes, that is going to be on Main Street in De Pere. I'm trying to see. I don't think I had anything else specifically on that one. We're kind of just, again, these ones all came in here very recently, and I've been trying to find, I was on the De Pere city website for far too long trying to find any other information on it, any other blueprints, whatnot to draw from, without too much luck. But yeah, we'll have more substantial updates on all of these as they come across our own timelines.
Yeah, like news breaks in our little breaking area, and like mice start scrambling, and people start clicking, and
Yeah.
and information starts dropping, and it is
Yeah.
it is fun. So anyway, back to this one real quick. Main Street Brewery. That's all I got. I love them. We love them here. They're they turn out to be hubs of the community, and they seem to be really excited. And we've reached out to them, so hopefully we'll be able to be getting more information on sooner, like we have with other breweries, so that we can get y'all the latest information. But this is going to be another nice one, I think,
Well,
Joel.
and Greg, we've talked about ad nauseum a little bit of the whole Appleton to Green Bay corridor really becoming more and more, and this adds to that. I think Green Bay maybe not doesn't boast some of the sheer numbers, but between Appleton and starting to move up the way, I know gnarly there in Wrightstown, like you get up to Pere, like once this is there too in Cocoon, yeah. So like you're really starting to see it get filled in more and more, that corridor connecting Lake Winnebago to Green Bay. So this is going to add on to that. And then unlike the other ones, like I said, they're taking over an already existing space. I'm sure there is going to be plenty of work with that. Other different challenges whenever you're renovating a building, especially one that I would assume has some age to it, considering it's an older looking storefront on Main Street. But because it is not a full new build out, it is possible that this one may be a little bit quicker. But I believe I think I saw something that it would be later in 2016, maybe. But we'll kind of wait and see. We will wait and see. They already, I sent you that one picture. They were already in there with like some signage stuff, it looked like. So I don't know.
Yeah, remember I said I was thinking that getting their brewing equipment there is probably going to be the biggest obstacle. And we've seen with even Boulder Falls where there was a problem with, that's a new build, and there was a problem with getting some of the brewery equipment in there after a new build. So as much as you can even plan it out, it becomes wild sometimes. So we hope them the best, and y'all be hearing about that around here.
Yep. So three for three there on new brewery announcements. We will be keeping our ear to the ground there, finding for any other updates on them. Obviously, that initial announcement is kind of the big rush, and then you kind of get a trickle out as things come along and announcements are made and progress is made. But yeah.
And now's the time for our sponsor, and our sponsor this show is the Badger Beer Report. The Badger Beer Report also does podcasts, y'all, and you see 3 of them right there. Actually, the top one is the Mix Sixes, are another live video format stream that we do on Tuesday evenings with Chelsea and I. And if you'll miss that one, it's still very relevant. It's still very green, y'all, because it's Thanksgiving edition, and we talk about many things about leading up to Thanksgiving, especially if y'all have not picked out your selections. Joel apparently already did with his lakefront, but if y'all need any other tips, and that's a great one, actually, the lakefront lager, y'all can just take it. I mean, come on now. Even the people are like, I only drink Bud Light. You could shove what Joel?
The Klish Pilsner here. They also on the dive beer would be perfect for those folks.
Show that please again. Yeah. Just say, yo, that's a Klish Pils.
Yeah. And then the dive beer would be perfect for that as well.
Okay, great. So you can satisfy everybody at the picnic. And you can, or not the picnic. Jeez.
It'd be chilly to have it outside in a lot of places, I think.
Oh Lord. All right. And also, if y'all are so inclined and y'all are annoyed by the Detroit Lions or whatever, y'all can introduce your family to the Badger Beer Report and watch Chelsea and I do the Mix 6 on your big screen. There you go, guys. And then on the way home, you can listen to me and John talk about Akron Brewing, which y'all just learned about. So with that being said, Joel, what is going on next in the world of Wisconsin breweries that is interesting and fascinating?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this one.
Yeah, so go all the way out to Prairie du Chien, Dew City Brewing. We are, getting some updates from them. Finally, they are starting the renovation on their building. They are going to be right down in downtown. And they are saying on this post, hoping to have brewery and taproom open early 2026. So, early, I would assume if they're just starting renovations, early does not mean January. But early does sound promising that it will be, could be spring. I don't know. I would assume early could be springish. So, we obviously know how these things go, but we're very excited for them. You can see up there, it's now been several months, but I was able to do an interview with them talking about bringing a brewery to an area of Wisconsin that really does not have anything remotely like that. So that's one big reason why we're very excited about the progress out there and seeing them come to life.
Yeah, Joel, do you have the statement that we got today? I forget.
Yes, I can get it here.
It basically just backs up, y'all. While Joe looks for that, it basically just backs up what it said there, which was I think a couple weeks ago there. Um, but yeah,
Is
we are. I forget where I put. No, did I put that in? Let's see. No, that's not that one. Can't say that one. um, isn't it? Let's see. Oh, oh, here we go. I got it.
okay.
Right? Is this it? Um, hoping to start our brewery and taproom remodel right away in December, and hopefully we'll be up rolling by early next year. So
Yeah.
there's early next year again. That's a statement that we got today, y'all, via email from Deuce City. So comment Stroll before we move on.
Yeah, no, like I said, we're just, waiting to see. Like I said, we were able to interview them. I'm kind of waiting to get some physical like pictures and stuff. I'm anxious to see what it's going to look like because we don't really have any visuals at this point.
Mhm.
And I'm anxious, like I said, I love when a brewery is going to a new community. This isn't just a brewery going into a community that doesn't, or a brewery going into a place that doesn't have a brewery. This is a brewery going into a part of the estate that there is not another brewery in, quite a ways. So it's really filling in a fairly large gap. And Prairie du Chien, especially in the warmer months, is
Beautiful.
little bit. It's a beautiful area, a little bit touristy there, with effigy mounds across the river in Iowa. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful area. So I think folks will be willing and wanting to make that trip once they are open, both for the natural beauty and now for the beer.
And these folks are from there. So it's not like
Yeah,
someone's coming in building. They are from in the community. So they know what Prairie du Chien needs beer wise and all
yeah,
that. So this is going to be great, I think.
yes.
I'm predicting good things for this one.
I'm excited about this one as well, and I love the branding too. I love the branding with that one.
It is sharp.
Speaking of branding, I mean, it's hard to argue. I think this is the number one branding in the state. One of the best branding, biggest branding in the whole country. So we don't often get to talk about on this specific show. We're often covering new things going on and new breweries and like all sorts of stuff. We don't get to talk about some of the big names very often. And New Glarus' expansion has given us the opportunity to be able to discuss them a bit. And we did get a little bit of a tidbit. I'm not sure who at the time was running their Facebook when they commented. We can all make some guesses, but either way, on a recent post, they shared a local news broadcast about the beautiful, massive expansion taking place, over $55 million. And someone asked, like in the comments, about a completion date. And New Glarus, the account replied that construction is going to be complete in the fall of 26, so next year, so less than a year from now, hopefully. They're going to take the winter and spring to kind of move everything, get settled in. I'm sure crossing some T's and dotting some I's in terms of all paperwork and everything and getting things where they want it to be. And so they hope early summer of 27 is when it will be fully open. And what will be, in my opinion, one of, if not the best brewery visiting experiences in the country. So yeah,
You think it is already?
it's definitely, this is going to take it to a different level, and putting it up there. Cause in terms of like a traditional taproom brewery experience, that was one thing that was not there. And now between having that and the museum and the distillery, it's going to be, no matter what you're looking for, it's going to be there with amazing beer. It's great to get a little update, even though, we obviously the end is not in sight with this, which with a project of this size and magnitude is not a big surprise. But it is nice that they are at least sharing that, hey, here are kind of some dates that we're currently projecting to. So I'm hoping that you and I can be there fairly early on, when they do start to open it up to folks.
So Joe, are you thinking like Sierra Nevada Asheville?
Yeah, I mean, that would be, that's the closest comparison, I feel like, in terms of both the indoor and outdoor space. Only, I would say Sierra Nevada Asheville, though, I mean, the potential, like the museum and like also the distillery, I don't know. This could have even more. And I would say the amphitheater is great in Asheville, but they don't have the same, like, the views of the outdoor in the valley and everything in New Glarus are, are prime
Right.
there. So I mean,
Right.
you're not going to hear me argue. Like I said, I always consider the Sierra Nevada Asheville to be one of the, golden gems and, benchmarks for
Absolutely is.
brewery visiting experiences in terms of large scale breweries.
Absolutely is.
And I think this is now going to be right up there
Hmm.
with that, especially because
Hmm.
people travel here, because unlike Sierra Nevada, you can't get beer anywhere. You have to go there, especially if you want to get anything semi special, you have to go there. So that gives it a whole other experience.
Yeah, and I covered this already somewhere, and they already doubled down on y'all are not getting New Glarus beer outside of
No,
Wisconsin limits. It's just not
good,
happening. So y'all
good.
have to come here to get that beer.
Keep it for
Just
ourselves.
saying.
Yep. Bring in that
Ain't my
tourist money.
fault. Don't
Bring in
blame
that
us.
tourist money.
Yeah, don't blame the messenger. We're just telling y'all. Sorry. What's up next, Joel?
So next is I'm going to be handing the baton off to you, Greg, for the next two, because you recently went on a little trip and you were able to hit up a couple places. One that is in the process, another update of a build out, one that we really didn't for a long time have any information on and has now sprung up, and we have a connection, and things seem to be moving in a really good direction up there. But yeah, take it away here.
Yeah, so Los Apostle is an upcoming brew pub in Washburn. I was up in Washburn with the Madison's Homebrewer and Tasters Guild. We did a bus trip called the Goodwill Trip. Y'all can see all those pictures on our Facebook page and our Instagram page. Every year the club does a trip to visit the breweries that came, or some of the breweries, of course, that came to the Great Taste that year, as an homage to say, hey, you support us by coming to the Great Taste, and we support you by showing up, crashing your brewery, drinking all the beer, and buying all the merch that we can, and moving on to the next one. So we were up at Washburn doing that with South Shore Brewing. So, but Los Apostle, y'all, was right up the street from there. So it was like a 5-minute walk. So I walked up the street, and we didn't have any. The last update, Joel, that we had was your shirt. On
Yep.
your shirt
Our
was
good
from
friend
Bill
Bill
from Some Nerve.
up
Yes,
there
yes,
in
yes, yes.
beautiful Manitowish Waters, Wisconsin at Some Nerve. Shout out to Bill. And yeah,
Shout out
he
to Bill.
said, how many months ago was that? It was a while. It was a little while ago at this point that he sent us a couple. They had the skeleton up at that point, kind of, I believe.
It was a while. Yeah, I don't know. It was bare. It was it
Yeah.
was wood. It was 2x4s or something like that,
Yeah.
and it just looked. I don't know. It didn't look anything. So it was, I walked. It was great because Joel had sent me, because I didn't even like Joel, like we were talking and I didn't even know I was gonna go to Apostle until like we're looking, and Joel's like, man, it's only like 5-minute walk. I'm like, 5-minute walk, I'm going to Apostle. So we had like an hour and a half at South Shore. So the bus unloads and I immediately just start walking to Apostle, right? And I was just, it's around the corner from where South Shore is. And as I was walking up to it, y'all, and like coming around the corner, and I saw Apostle, and I saw it was like this one, like y'all can see here, this wonderful brick outside. You can see at the
Yeah.
top there here. And I was like, Joel, I was talking with Joel and Bill in the thread, and I was like, S word. Right? And I kept walking because I didn't know if this was Apostle or not, because I was walking up to it. It was just this wild kind of scene that I was just only privy to. And I just get up there and I just see this wonderful building and how it looked. And it was just great. Like I was just like, whoa, like it was like this big discovery because they don't put anything out on their social media. And
Yeah.
then, like you said, the last update we got was from Bill from Sumner, because he drove up there, and I don't know, he was, going to breweries like he does. And I don't know, he drove up there and took a snap for us. But without that snap from Bill and this snap from him, we wouldn't have anything on Lost Apostle. They don't put anything out there. Badger, the owner, is literally working on it himself.
What a name,
Let's
by the
see
way.
here. let's see here. Hold on. This one here. Okay, so this photo here I put in, I added. You could actually see him up there working. He's the one that's you can see the ladder, and then right to the left of the ladder, that is Badger working on his brewery right now. And I'm pretty sure, Joel, that and I wasn't able to verify this, but I'm pretty sure as you can see here, I put this long shot in. I think the green
Oop.
part I think the green part there in the back is the brewery, and the front part is the tap room. He was working, like he was working hard, and I didn't tell him I was coming. I didn't there was no like advance warning, so I just noticed that there were people working, and I was actually about to I was telling Joel I was about to just dip and go back, but then he came down. I went and I was taking those far pictures that y'all saw, and he came down the ladder, and I was like, well, I mean, I'm here and I'm never getting back. I might as well just approach the guy and say, hey, what's going on? And I had noticed the door was open too. So I realized that people were still working. But I didn't go in, Joel. I was tempted, but that's
Yeah.
trespassing. That's trespassing. So anyway, he comes down this ladder, and I was like, hey, I'm just here being nosy. I mean, I'm a weirdo. I like breweries and all that. And he's like, I'm with Badger Beer Report. He's like, wait, yeah. He's like, yo, what's going on? And like he acted like he knew me or us, but I
Yeah.
guess he was observing us talking. He said he was, he saw us talking about him and all that. And I don't know, he was just a really warm fella, and he was fun. It just felt like he had this really nice vibe to him, Joel. And I don't know, we just like I just exchanged a whole lot of information, told him who we were and what we're, how, trying to do with breweries and all that. And then he was just like, that's great, man. Give me a call. We'll talk, all that. So really, it all boils down to Joel is that they're really, really going to, he really has a short timetable, like end of the year, start of next year for this to be open. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of work to still be done, but this guy was working on it. What was that? A Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. or something like
Yeah.
this. Right. And he is hard working at his brewery. So he is really he's really putting in the work literally. And it's just great to see. This is gonna be really, I think, I don't know. And he has 20 plus years of experience in brewing. So he's not just some newcomer on the scene like we've seen recently. Respect to the newcomers, respect to the newcomers. But we've seen established brewers like Scott from Vault and Lyle from Fond du Lac start breweries this year, and Badger's about to be one. I don't know if he's going to slip in December. He wants to, but I
Yeah.
don't see it, Joel. I could be wrong. I want to be optimistic, but I mean, we should just be optimistic for a spring opening up there because it's the winter's hard up. The winter is a little bit hard up there in Ashland and Washburn,
Washburn. Yeah.
but it's a little harsh up there. But Joel, that right in the back there where I took this big picture, this I call it or where I took that picture, but where I took this picture, if I just look a little bit left, and I have all these pictures, like the water is right there. You can see the
Yeah.
water from Los Apostles, so it's just a beautiful area. It's going to be really, really wonderful in the summer, where there's going to be all that tourism and all those people looking for beer. I am, I don't know, we went from like not knowing anything about this brewery to knowing a lot because I had that encounter with Badger, and I could just go on and on and on about what we talked for like at least 15 minutes. He was busy, so I didn't push for. I really wanted to go in and see what was going on, but he was busy and working, so I was just like, the time that he gave me, Joel, I felt was valuable because
Yeah.
I didn't even ask him, and I was just like, yo, that's cool. He didn't offer, so it's fine. Like it's totally fine. It was great. But I'm trying to make it back up there. I don't know. That's like, I mean, that's in
It's a
Canada.
haul. It's a
That's
haul.
in Canada. It's even more remote, I think, than like like Earth Rider and all that, because Earth Rider and all that's near Superior and Duluth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is really, really remote out there on that limb up there. It's just beautiful though. It's great. And I don't know. I'm super excited about Lost Apostle. What do you think about what you heard from me, and what do you think about this build?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing I've said too is I love the branding for up there, being up there by the Apostle Islands. And if you go, so they do have a Facebook page and I think a Instagram, like we said, though, they haven't really been posting on it. They do have a website here,
Yeah, I should
lostapostle.brewing.com.
put that up by now.
Um,
There it is.
and the branding is really neat. The website right now is both very in depth and vague at the same time. There's a lot going on, but there's not like a whole lot of. It's kind of got some like story. It's more of a storytelling
Hmm.
situation right now on the website, but it's a really cool website. If you're interested in it up there, you can go check out the website, and I'm sure that you can sign up for the newsletter there for updates. But yeah, I am so glad that we were able to get this update, and I'm glad that you were able to go up there.
That was
Because
it was
otherwise, I mean,
wild. It
this
was
would have
wild.
been. I feel like
It was wild.
this this would have been one that just all of a sudden was open and like we had no idea about. I feel like. I mean, I don't even know if they would have announced it on Facebook at the rate. I think they would have, but I'm glad that you got to talk to
Totally.
Badger.
Totally.
Which I mean,
Totally.
you want to talk about a name for a brewery owner in Wisconsin, having the name Badger. It's hard to top that. Um, you know,
Yeah, and he said it, and I was like, "Wait, your name is Badger, and I started a business named Badger. We got it, we got it. We're bonded." And we were just it was just a funny moment, and I don't know. This guy's worked really hard to get where he's at.
yeah,
And you just gotta love the story. Once y'all know the story, I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. And he
yes,
just really had that personality.
and like you said,
Once I met him.
the building is really pretty too. Because if you recall, one of the things we talked about when we did cover them was that there was a building there, and was it a theater? I can't remember what was there, and they were going to transform, like they wanted to renovate it, and basically
Mhm.
they got in there, started to try to do some stuff, and they were basically told, no, this thing is like not, you're not going to be able, like you have to tear this thing down like
Mhm.
completely, like
Mhm.
completely like not even like down to the studs, like bulldoze this thing off the, wipe it
Mhm.
off the face of the earth. And so that's what they had to do, and I'm sure that that was, a pretty big, because I know that that was a thing that sat, like that for so long.
And then I'm pretty sure they started the rebuild, and then they had a water main break. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure. Okay.
Yeah. So like you want to talk about this not going according to plan for Badger up there.
Right.
I think this is pretty much the epitome of rolling with the punches and being, and adapting to the situation that you're given. And because of,
Oh,
I mean, because of that, in general, that and the branding and the location, I'm very excited. I wish that it was not so remote for
closer.
me, although the remoteness
Yes.
is part of the allure, if I'm being honest. But I
Yeah, it
also
is.
don't know
Yeah,
when
it
I will
is.
get up there. But yeah, we will be following this one closely here, as it sounds like they're making pretty good progress there. Like you said, I would also be, I'm always the optimist. I'd be surprised if it was before the end of the year, but I do think that it seems like they're getting pretty close up there, though, Greg.
Man, I love this one. I love
Yeah,
this one. That's all I got. I love this
yeah,
one. Totally a fan.
yeah,
So, yeah, another one here.
yeah. You're up next
Lead
again.
off, but lead off, lead off.
Oh, well, I was going to say this is another one for you, though, Greg. You and I both were at the first rendition of Bull Falls. Um, this has been, a long time ago. And we kind of covered the whole the closing and the sale and the purchasing, and then the rebrand, and then the opening of the beer garden, and then the reopening of the tap room, and all this kind of stuff. And you were finally able to go there and visit during this trip, and got to pop in and see the new digs, which had you walking away pretty impressed and happy that the ownership change was made, it sounds like.
This is another one. I was on this bus, and I don't know. I was rolling to Wausau, and Joe and I were talking, and Joe sent me the thing, and he's like, I don't know, it's only 15 minutes away. Because I said to Joe, I was like, it's 20. It was a $25 Uber,
Yeah.
and
Well, I even
man,
asked you if there was even Ubers in Wausau. I'm like, is there even Ubers up there?
it was so annoying. So it ended up being a 16-minute walk, y'all, and I got a baddish knee, but I was like, I'm going to do it. So like got dropped off at Red Eye, and we were there for an hour and a half with the club, and I took the 15-minute detour. And again, this is another brewery that I walked up to. Which again, walking up to a brewery is a different vibe than when you drive to one, y'all, especially if there's anticipation and you don't know what it's going to look like and all that. So I had that experience too. It was the day after, it was on Sunday. I'm walking up to Bull Falls, and it looked identical to when I remembered it. And the last time I was at Bull Falls, y'all, it was one of the most underwhelming brewery experiences that I had in that like range of
Mm.
time. It was just not great. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it wasn't enjoyable, but there was really nothing appealing about it. I remember that. The
There
beers
was
were
no reason to go
meh.
back. It didn't feel like.
The tap room was meh. The whole
Yeah.
thing was just, it needed updated. So anyway, I stroll into Bull Falls with a little bit of expectation because I thought, we were hearing some things, Joel, and but
Mhm.
we didn't get any. We reached out to Bull Falls and they didn't respond, and that's fine. Again, we can say that so many times. It's fine. Because if brewers don't want any of our, contact or whatever, that's fine. That's fine. It's great. There's 270 breweries in Wisconsin now, or 265. We'll get to that, and not all of them are going to need our help and or need our resources. So, but yeah, we did try to talk to them, and so I walk in, Joel, and it was just beautiful. You could see it there. It's just the rebuild is really nice. Everything is, one of those modern, kind of ones going on. So it wasn't really it wasn't it didn't stand out in that aspect, but it just stood out how clean and crisp everything felt, how new it felt compared to it was being all out and dated and all that. So I sat up at the bar, and I didn't did I put any more? Are there any more? Is there any more? It's just those. Where's this one?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think I
Okay,
have.
okay, okay.
I don't think there's any
So
other.
I just had up at the barman, and they ended up just having I just ordered a flight of seven. They had six beers, so you get a flight of six. They had seven, so I got a flight of six, and the beers were very good compared to what I remember them, Joel. They were very
Mhm.
crisp, and they actually had some flavor to them. They felt kind of like updated. So while I was having them, I asked the lady if any of the leadership of the brewery was there. Just I didn't see any, and I didn't notice anybody, and I didn't know anybody. And she's like, "Oh yeah, the owner's right over there." And then she introduced me to the owner, and we just had a conversation, and it was great. It ended up with him giving me. He's like, you got to taste the last one, because I was just telling him about how I was impressed about how the beer tasted. He said some. We talked a little bit about the transaction. He said some off the record things about the previous owner. And I don't know, it wasn't, he doesn't have a favorable opinion of the guy. Apparently not many people do. I'm just keeping that real. It's just the way that is. But that brewery was bought at a sheriff's sale, I believe it was. Bull Falls. And what happened was the previous owner did not own the recipes. So they have the same brewer now that they had before, and they went through some tweaks with the recipes. Probably what it sounded like was that the brewer wanted to always make these tweaks and wasn't allowed, or something like that was going on. I'm not sure, but you know, it really is, something if all of a sudden the brewer gets to make all these changes, and now we have changes, and now the beer is great. So, yeah, Bull Falls, y'all, was it's as I described, everything's upgraded. It seems like ownership's upgraded, beers are upgraded, space is upgraded. They got a beer garden there now. I don't think they ever had a beer garden before. Unfortunately, I was pressed to time because I had to get back to Red Eye so I could get on the bus to leave with the club. So I forgot to go to the beer garden, which is a little bit of a ways from the tap room, actually, just a little bit. Not It's on the same premises, but Bull Falls is a big, that's a big space, y'all. I don't know if y'all know that. They got a 30 barrel brew system in there. So it's a big space, brewing a lot of beer. They're distributing apparently smartly, but around the area. So in that area, y'all, you can look for Bull Falls in your local probably breweries. I didn't really get into that part with him, but it was a great conversation, and you'll probably see Badger Beer Report and Bull Falls maybe do something together in the future. I don't know. The owner and I had a good conversation, and we will follow up with them, but we are happy that this one this Resurrection Brewery. It's good to see a you know a city lose a brewery, Joel, and then gain one back, and to see it like almost like Mobcraft and St. Francis. We should mention
Mhm.
all of them. Kind of rebought, not kind of. They all rebought their brands. Some bringing back their old brewers, some not. Like you just could see this. But it's great because again, the community didn't lose anything at the end of the day. Only for a couple months we lost the brewery, but and again, by all accounts, it feels like all of them have done upgrades. We can talk about the other two, but we're just going to specifically stay with Bull Falls. I could tell you, in my opinion, Joel, that there was this, across the board upgrades, and I think you can only expect better things coming out of Bull Falls in the
Yeah.
future. And that's great because it's, as I told y'all, it's 15 minutes away from Red Eye, which real quick, I was there and those lagers hitting hard, y'all. They got a Doppelbock, they got some Kolsch. Oh, everything was just crisp and clean there. I just had a really good time at Red Eye and Bull Falls. Respect. So keeping it clean, Joel. Red Eye's beers were better than Bull Falls, but it wasn't like this big gap, and it wasn't like Bull Falls is not good. So Bull Falls is good, but they still have some room to grow, and you're going to see them grow because they only had 6 on tap and they got like 10 taps there. So we're going to only see them grow, especially with distribution, Joel. With 30-barrel brewery, we got to move some beer there.
Yeah.
So he said that kind of too in a way. He's like, we got to move some beer. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on Bull Falls before we move on.
No, I won't probably until if I ever am back up in Wausau, but I am glad that the rebrand has so far seemed like a success and improvement for the community of Wausau, and hopefully we will be hearing more from Bull Falls here in the future.
I am.
And speaking of new breweries, so I have two that I have visited here recently also. And so I was at the grand opening for Brewed Omen in downtown Hartford, which is just a little ways northwest of the Milwaukee area. And I was able to talk with Kyle there, the brewer who is doing all the brewing, all the magic behind the scenes. And they had a soft opening a little while back, kind of have been open for a little while, and then I was there for the actual grand opening party where they did the ribbon cutting and had representatives there from I think the city and whatnot. They were doing some tours, so I kind of waited until things died down a little bit to chat with Kyle, but this is one of the ones that we had talked about, the space being really neat, and you, Greg, have been there. And that was before they were officially open as a brewery. They were just doing it as the tap room. But yeah, it's a really cool building. It's the Millstream building. It has more than one tenant. They're actually in kind of the lower level, which leads directly out to the little inlet part of the Rubicon River. So you can see that I wanted to include the one picture there of their outdoor space. The outdoor deck is right on the water. Like you lean over and you could basically fall in, I suppose, although I don't think it's very deep right there. And inside is a very intimate feeling space, like very, kind of low key and just where you could feel like you could just hang out. You just hang out there with some people and chat. And yeah, so the building, it's been a whole bunch of things. They added the 7-barrel system. Finally, it's kind of in a separate part of the building. It is technically connected, but the easiest way for people was to go out to the outdoor area and then back in. But they have the 7-barrel system. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, it always is going to see a brand new system. It's always so shiny and new and gorgeous. And they had 8 beers on tap. I had 4 in my flight. I had the West Coast IPA, the Amber, the Scottish Ale, and the Porter. The other beers, which I know I sent to you when they were announced, were like a barrel-aged imperial stout, a barley wine, a wheat wine, something like they were all like 12 to 15% beers.
Yeah, wasn't there a quad? Oh no, there wasn't a quad.
Yeah, I can't remember, but they were all massive, massive beers. Yeah, and I brought it up to Kyle because I'm like, hey, like that isn't like normally when a brewery is opening, and I know that you
eased
guys are
out.
different because you've been a tap room
Mm,
for several years now, but
ease
opening
in.
up and having half your beers be these absolute behemoths, I'm like,
Mhm.
that's got to be what you really like, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, like that's what I like to drink. That's what I like to brew. But he did say that they will basically be making everything. Um, so, oh, look at that. Great. Yeah, look at that. It's my brother. Well, look at it. He's on the up on the big screen. I had a great time talking with Kyle and learning. And I was about to say, they have a very large tap list there. I'm trying to remember how many it is. Is it 24 or 30, something like that? And
It's 30, I
it's
think.
30. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
at
Kyle
least
said
it's at least 30.
he wants to fill it with all of his own beers. That
Mhm.
is his goal. He
Yes.
wants to basically run the gauntlet, it sounds like, in terms of trying everything.
Mm,
He did say that,
mm,
part of it is figuring out, he is obviously, like I said, likes doing some of the higher ABV stuff, but he
yeah,
is,
brown wine guy.
they are in kind of a unique situation though, where I often say like, oh, well, you have to, when a brewery opens up, for instance, my next one that I'm going to talk about, Tailwinds in Union Grove or Boulder Junction that, we're going to talk about later, these breweries in new communities, like, well, you kind of got to see what kind of beers the community's into, what your clientele is going to be into. When you've been a beer bar for several years, he talked about that, they already kind of know, a lot of people and like what kind of styles and what things people have been looking for in general. They weren't brewed omen beers at that point, but they now can use that information as they are producing brewed omen beers to know what kind of styles they should maybe be trying. And yeah, it sure sounds like Kyle's going to have a lot of fun with this. Like, I think he's going to try a lot of things. I really enjoyed both the West Coast IPA and the Porter. They were both very solid. I will hopefully be able to get back there at some point. Once he kind of gets, things more settled. Things were pretty darn chaotic. I'd like to go back when it's not quite as, it was packed when I was there, which is a good thing and should not have been a surprise because it was, again, the grand opening party.
You packed
But it
out.
was, I just prefer to be there when it's not quite so busy. And I'm anxious to kind of go back to once, like I said, if they have 8 beers on and they eventually want to have 20 plus or whatever, I'm just really curious to see what that tap list is going to look like. And hopefully I'm able to check that out. So, what are your thoughts on this one, Greg?
Yeah, I don't know. Bruno Omen is. I was there a week before you, I think, right, or 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was probably like 10 days before. Um, Kyle opened the joint as a brewery. I don't know. It's a nice space. Everything that Joel said is true. Also, Joel, so the brewery is actually in another building that they had to buy
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
because the brewery wouldn't fit in Millstone building and
Okay.
all that. So like
Yeah, I guess
this is
that's why it
like
was around the. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that big wonderful murals there, and it's just a whole vibe, that place. And it's just a great vibe. And I don't know, Kyle is hardworking. He's been working hard at this. So here's another, here's a lot of sweat equity put in here, building Brewdome into what it is today as a brewery. But it was a two-step process, and it was over, 5 years, and just a lot of learning from him to be a brewer because he wasn't a professional brewer before this. Transitioning from homebrew and having all that, to learn all that to while he's doing a whole craft beer bar thing. So, shout out to our friend Kyle Score for getting that brewed omen done. I
Yes.
can't wait to visit it as a brewery. And really, there's nothing more to say. We probably won't have much to say about Brewdog going forward, hopefully, because once they become breweries, we don't, outside of events and big things, there's really nothing to talk about. We end up talking about the new ones and what's coming and what's all that. So, shout out to Kyle, and we'll be talking to him, I'm sure, in the future.
Yes. 100%. Had a great time chatting with him and really, really excited for him
Oh,
and the rest of the Brood Omen crew.
yeah, he's not even actually. He hasn't done any content with us
No,
technically.
I don't
Oh
believe
yeah,
so.
so we're gonna have to change that.
Yeah.
So anyway, and we're also gonna have to change what we're talking about.
Yes. Well, next up, like I said, so the second
Do that.
stop that I made here
Yeah.
was going down to Union Grove. and visiting the brand new opened Tailwinds Brewing Company. This is the reason why I was not able to do the interview with John for Acronym Brewing, because this was the one time that it worked out for me to be able to go down to meet with Rick. And it was not when the brewery was actually open, and Rick graciously opened the doors for me and had me in, and I hung out there for quite a while with him, talking with him, and it was a pure delight. So Rick worked for United Airlines for over 3 decades, I believe 34 years is what I have written down here. And his dad also worked in the airline industry, and between them, they have a staggering collection of aviation memorabilia and decor. Some of it is up in the tap room, but they have a lot more of it available to them. They'll be swapping stuff out, but they have a lot of really cool pieces ranging from all sorts of eras. And he talked about that, they'll be swapping stuff out to keep things fresh. And I just loved walking around with him, and he had stories for almost every piece, it seemed like. Like I know there was one really old United Airlines, like big plastic, like logo type thing that apparently was what hung behind the United Airlines desk at the Milwaukee airport for a really long time. And it was apparently just going to get thrown away, and he snagged it. So really, really, really cool. Beautiful space. Like I said, this was another one that was a new build there in downtown. And yeah, I mean, and I guess I should also mention, we talked about before, besides working at United Airlines, they ran Tailwind Destinations, which was a company where they took people on beer tours to places like Belgium and Scotland. And, that was part of the inspiration for them when they were opening up a brew pub, is, they wanted, the types of vibes and food and experiences that they wanted to provide. And then we get to the beer, Greg, and wow, for it being freshly opened. You can see some of them down there in the bottom. So Rick originally was going to do the brewing himself. And he told me he was kind of like, well, they actually built their custom made system in the back there, like semi-automated. So that it was initially, he was building it to be designed for himself. And then he decided, no, like I want to, he didn't feel like he had quite the right experiences to be able to do this to the level and consistency of what he wanted to produce for the community. And so they went out and brought in Greg Brown, who has been brewing for I think 3 decades. And he spent time at Geneva Lager Works and also Art History Brewing down there in Geneva, Illinois. So he has the chops, and they're already cranking out some just phenomenal beer. I know we've talked about a lot of the new breweries across the state coming out guns blazing. I know we talked about that with Fond du Lac, and we, talked about, I know you've talked about that with Vault. Like they had 5 beers on tap of their own when I visited. They're eventually going to fill out more, obviously. But I had the Little Ricky Porter, the Hethro ESB, the Freising Hefeweizen, the Miramar West Coast IPA, and the Trade Winds Hazy IPA. 6, sorry. And then I also had the Pretty and Pink Prickly Pear Fruited Beer. But some of the names you hear, like Miramar and Heathrow, like they were named for famous airports, which is fun. I would happily drink all 6 again, but in particular, the ESB and the Hefeweizen were special. Like really, really good special. And I just walked away very impressed by the whole experience there. He talked to me about that they're going to be, eventually looking to expand the menu as they try to bring in another chef, and, they're serving the beer directly there, right there from the vessels. It's just a beautiful, beautiful space. And yeah, I'm almost at a loss for words for continuing to talk about what is all going on there. I wish that it was slightly closer to me. I do, but I'm hoping to get back down there at some point, especially once they are fully more established, similar to Brewdoman, where it's like, okay, you had 6, 7, whatever beers, you're going to hopefully more than double, like you want to eventually like double that or more. And so once you have all that going on, I'm gonna have to do some revisits, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, and the aviation thing is so cool. Like it really has a strong vibe there. And there's so much to look at. They also have these old, like, he's got a whole bunch of like different advertisement pages, and they date back to like the 1940s or something, and they go in chronological order all the way around the tap room. He has old, like, huge, like, toy airplanes, that kids used to play with and stuff, and a bunch of like pilot pins. And yeah, it's a really interesting space, and the beers are phenomenal. And yeah, I think he's a big Belgian guy, so I think there will be some Belgians coming in over there. But he also said, part of it is, as I talked about Brewed Omen already having this essentially because they were the beer bar, he said, part of it is seeing what's going to stick with the community. He said, we have these beers that we think are going to be really good, but part of it is seeing, okay, if there's any local favorites, that might become a flagship. So, yeah, that's kind of that was my experience there. I was very grateful for Rick for opening doors. You will see me probably next show, even possibly wearing a Tailwinds Brewing t-shirt because I will be repping them as much as I can. But yeah, it's with the airplane theme. They took off right away, Greg, and they are soaring mighty fine already. I'll tell you that.
I don't know what else to do but move on.
Yeah,
that was just
you got to get there, Greg. You're gonna have to get there at some point.
That was a perfect segue. Like, isn't that the segue when you go in?
Yeah.
Right. There you go.
Well, we just got a couple things to keep an eye on, folks. We have. I know you have a couple things here that you wanted to briefly mention here, quick with. Young blood and
Boulder. So yeah, Doug, Joel, do you have the quote for Boulder Junction so we can if you want to grab that?
Yes, and then I will grab that here.
Yeah, I'll get so we spoke. I spoke to I messaged with the people from Nosy Neighbor today. So we've made contact with them. So we will be having hopefully they will be tipping us off for when they are going to start brewing. Remember, y'all, they are the first brewer to brew out of New Barron's new incubator system. They are the first incubator brewery, Nosy Neighbor. So we made contact with them, and we will be hopefully helping follow their journey through that system, being the first one. So that'll be interesting and fun. We have
one other thing with Nosy Neighbor. That is a new logo as of today, by the way, for folks. They just updated their logo. If you go to their Instagram page, because they are from Kenosha, and so they had the Kenosha, and they updated it. They kind of tweaked the actual full logo itself. They then established the new year, and then they added the Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because they will now be brewing and serving there out of Wisconsin or out of Milwaukee. So they did just update that today with the new logo.
That is excellent. And we got a recent update over the weekend from Derriere Brewing. You can click on their we encourage you to go over to their Facebook and click on there and hear their update.
Yes.
So they're talking early spring, y'all. So but you can get the details on why they're there and what's going on their Facebook. So there's that one. Solemn Oath is having a pop-up, right, Joe?
Yes, they're having a pop-up. We should have put that image on there. I believe it's
we should have.
Is it December? Hold on, I'll pull it up here to make sure that I have all the information right. But it is going to be at Supermoon. I know that we mentioned that when we did the Solemn Oath announcement, but it is going to be December 18th from 4 to 9 p.m. Meet the Solemn Oath crew. 9 of the draft lines at Supermoon will be Solemn Oath beer. They will have Solemn Oath glassware and merch. There's going to be food there. So it is the official Solemn Oath preview pop-up. And Supermoon is just a little ways down the road. It's on the other side of the Bayview neighborhood from where they will be located in the old 1840 taproom space. So I'm not sure. I'm hoping I can get there. We'll see. I would like to get down there to make contact with them for sure, Greg.
It's gonna reestablish that combo there.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for that one.
Supermoon in 1840. Yeah. It's the same. It's gonna be that good. So then Joel, do you have anything on Boulder Junction?
Yes, I do here. I just pulled up the other thing here, but I have from Ian. We have, you can read it. We've been putting out on our social media channels where they're busting their butts, is what he said, to get the final details of the brewing and wastewater treatment systems initiated. They do not have a hard and fast date as of this time, but they're getting closer. I know that we're all hoping and believing that it will be beating the buzzer here before the end of 2025.
Man, Joel,
But
forget
we
men.
will continue to provide the update as we have told you. I think every episode, as soon as we know, we will be able to spread that word to all of you as well.
Boulder's going to slide in. Joel, what do you think about Radix? Are they going to slide in?
I'd have to reach back out. I honestly don't know. I think they could. That was the last time I talked to them, when I met up with them at Mobcraft, that they were hoping still to get in here before the end of the year. But otherwise, if they don't, I would imagine they will be one of the very first ones in terms of the class of 2026. Either way, whether it's the end of this year, beginning next year, you already know, Greg, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, but you're going to have to wait for the next one. But you're hearing things about Clockwork.
Yes. So nothing overly exciting or substantial. Just scouring the Menominee Falls Village pages and seeing some other tax things and some other paperwork things going through with Clockwork last month in October. So the ball is still rolling. There is still progress being made on the Clockwork front, because we haven't had a whole lot of information since that initial big announcement. I don't even believe there's not social media or a website up. As you can see there, like, even if you try to find a logo, that logo I have is actually pulled from it's kind of a little bit blurry because it's pulled from the side of the building in one of the renderings. So it may not even be an official logo. We will have to wait and see. But yeah, that one is, still moving along, is what I can essentially report.
And lastly, I heard a rumor on the home brewer bus that something about Youngblood may not be still building, or something. I don't know. I really wasn't. No, I was coherent, but I don't remember the specific rumor. So I rolled up on Youngblood today, and y'all can see that on our Facebook or Instagram. And there were people working, and Youngblood is progressing.
Making
So
progress.
that's the update for that. And then I think we're otherwise good, Joe.
Yeah.
Our map has changed though for our
yeah,
that
so this
hasn't
is just
changed.
not, thankfully nothing has changed on this map, Greg.
No. And we're gonna brace though, Joel, because we remember
Yeah.
the end of last year.
Yeah,
So,
end of the year, we'll see if we get any more. But the
mhm,
brewery closings, we have not had any, knock on
mhm.
wood, in a little
A
while.
while.
So
Who
we
was the
will.
last one? Was that Hop and Barrel?
Or was
Or
it
no,
what?
it was
Was
Great
it the
Dane.
Great Dane? It was
It
probably,
was the
but
Great
which,
Dane.
yeah, which
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that wasn't a full closure because it was just one location. But
No, but
otherwise, it might have been Hop and Barrel. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not
So
sure.
on to the positive.
Yes. Anyway, openings. You can
Oh,
see that
look at these
we've
guys.
added in, Tailwinds and Brood Omen and, the
So many,
gnarly up there, and so we've
so
got
many,
a
so
nice
many
looking map,
bangers.
filling in
So
well.
many
We've pretty
bangers.
much been pretty consistent, and we are planning on hopefully adding one, maybe two more. We'll see.
So many
Um,
bangers. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
it's a where I know we're going to do a recap here at the very end of the year, Greg, and we'll be
Here
able
we
to
are.
heap praises on all of them. But
Here we are.
in terms of not just having openings, more openings than we anticipated. I mean, because we were fearing that there was going to be more closings than openings, but in the end, it was pretty much even. And the ones that opened up, several of them are just coming out of the gate swinging. And then announcements for the future, we were able to add 3 more logos to this map, Greg, because you can see near and far there. You can see acronym as well as Nicolay up there close to Green Bay. So another map that is continuing to add, because, yeah, give it up for all of them. And I was going to say, get more and more of these opening up, because speaking of another one that's going to open hopefully up, we were talking about earlier is Lost Apostle up there. But these breweries all graduate as these breweries graduate from this map to the openings map, it is nice to see that we have some more replacing them. So this map will not be going away anytime soon, and hope that continues to be the case. And so here's our current numbers: 210, individual total location 265.
265 is wild.
And yeah, it's really been, especially this
265 is
year
wild.
here,
It really is.
almost entirely positive news, which has been really fun to cover and see. But yeah, this was a fun episode just because we got to highlight some really exciting new announcements. We got to talk about some awesome visits we have. And yeah, next time you see us, hopefully we'll have some more opening announcements, and in terms of breweries that we've already been talking about opening. And we'll probably be getting close to getting to do some recaps for the big year of 2025, and maybe have some fun announcements as well for our own end, Greg.
I can fairly say that we are going to have at least a fairly good size announcement in December.
Yes,
Now,
I think I can agree with your
one though, because there's a couple. We got a couple things coming down for y'all and us.
At least, yeah,
in
we'll
month.
at least have we'll have some fun. There's a little teaser. We'll have some fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I vague booked this morning about.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you're getting antsy. You're getting antsy.
I'm just stupid excited about that, Joe. I just cannot contain my excitement, and I gotta shut my mouth for a little bit here. And
We're getting close
good.
though.
I did good on the weekend too. I did fabulous. I didn't even say anything. So, and I did it. I know it's hard to believe. I talk a lot. So, and I'm talking a lot now. So, Joe, I'll get us out of here so we could spare everybody of me talking a lot.
Yeah. Well, and we will hopefully see you here in the next few weeks. Make sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Go subscribe to the YouTube to make sure that you don't miss any brewery reports, pick sixes, any of the podcasts. Make sure that you're subscribed to our podcast, whether it's Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah. And which one's coming out tomorrow, Joe?
Is that the one, FootJoy Farm? Yes, I got to get you that, don't I? I got to make sure I get you the
talk about it. Who cares about that? Talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be having an interview with a very fun and unique brewery out there in the very far rural western Wisconsin, right next to the town that I actually grew up in Cashton, FootJoy Farm Brewing. I got to talk with the owner, Chad. I talked with him when I visited there a little over a year ago, and it was fun to reconnect and talk to him about the fact that all their grain comes from their family farm in North Dakota, and the background of what he all does with their crazy pizza, and the fact that the governor stopped by and visited him, earlier this year. So really fun interview. Definitely check it out.
And do you talk about why it's called FootJoy?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
yes, that
so
is. I think I lead off the podcast with that because it was also the first question I had to ask him.
All right, don't spoil it.
Yeah, no, I won't.
I got to go for the podcast.
Yeah,
because that's Joe and I had a conversation about that, and
yeah,
I was kind of weirded out by it at first.
No, I think any unique brand, because if you go and look, the tap handles are also actual like molds of his. It's his foot, as well. So there's a little fun fact for you. So, but yeah. Anyway, Greg, we've been pushing past our normal time frame. So whether it's where you are visiting or where you're living, be sure to drink local everywhere. Cheers, everybody.